November, it's early December, and I feel like shit.
Welcome back to East Coast DNA. Today's guest is a Nova Scotia musician. Welcome, Jon.
Thanks.
So it's Jon Cornwall.
Yeah.
So the name was familiar to me, but in between, you're just releasing your second album now, but you had quite a bit of a gap in between albums. So I do have a lot of questions about you and your history.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been 27 years or something like that. I'm 26, 27 years. For, I don't really have much of an excuse for that.
Yeah.
Just busy and shy, I think. So maybe a bad combination for a musician.
I think there's a little bit of that all across our region here anyway. But
Yeah.
let's start with going back, maybe a little bit further back than the 27 years and what led to you originally having an album out back in those days. And for those out there that aren't very good at math, we're talking about the famous 90s that everyone always talks
Right.
about for the music.
Right.
So that was a very active and exciting time in our industry. And
Thing.
even for bands that at the time you would have been like a teenager, like myself back then. So I'm sure I can relate a lot to the experience of that era. But what were you doing back then? Like, was the album something that you just threw together early on? Was there a band before that, or what are the
Oh.
early days?
No, it wasn't really a band thing back then. It was definitely during high school, and like Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains and all that were at the top of the charts. Cranberries, geez, it was a great time for music. There was tons of stuff, and it was so varied across the spectrum, and radio was everything. It was amazing. Um, I grew up playing piano, but then when I was about 16, I started playing guitar because my brother was playing guitar and getting really good at it, and I had a little bit of competitive rivalry with him. He's a couple years older.
Sure.
And I started doing that, and I kind of grew up mostly listening to acoustic music. So once I started playing acoustic guitar, I could play all these songs that I had grown up listening to. And my closest circle of friends, most of us are pretty like, I don't want to use the word hippie, but we were pretty grounded in that regards. And so I was always playing guitar when we were sitting around in groups, and I got a lot of positive reinforcement from that. And then I just kind of started writing songs. I don't even remember why,
Yeah.
but there's this one song that I wrote back then, which is called Finally. And my high school friends all really liked it and kept asking me to play it. It kind of was a little bit of a coming of age kind of song. Sort of a, you know, zone kind of honed in a lot on what it's like to be a teenager, I guess.
Yeah.
And that just kind of gave me all kinds of motivation and energy. And I wrote more songs. And next thing I know, I scrounged together a few bucks to go into a friend's brother's recording studio in the parents' basement and made about half of that record. And then that was also right around the time that I moved. I'm from Ontario, but I moved here in 1995. Yeah, 95, and finished the record here at a studio that was, oh my God, the name is escaping me all of a sudden. I want to say Stage 9. That might have been a venue. Holy crap. Charles Austin's place.
Oh, okay.
Charles Austin and Doug Barron had a studio on Kempt Road. It was in there, and we finished it there. Yeah, but it was just me and a couple friends here and there contributed some percussion and some singing and stuff like that, and made this record. And I printed off 500 copies and sold all of them except for about 10, which
Cool.
are still, which I think my dad might have thrown out recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they downsized from a house to a condo, and
Yeah.
you wouldn't believe what my dad threw out.
Oh,
Vinyl collection and everything. If it was the kids and it was in their house, it's gone.
yeah, yeah.
I think they're gone, but that did really well for me, and I got a pile of gigs and used to gig all the time. Yeah, and then I don't really know why I didn't keep doing that, but I kind of got shy all of a sudden and stopped playing around a lot. That's it, really.
So that would probably bring you into like what, early 2000s as you're kind of
Yeah, I'd
getting
say.
away from a little bit. So we won't dive too much into it since we're really here to focus on more of your artistic side. But in the years in between, what were you doing to fill your time? Like,
Mm.
career, family? Which road did you take over that period of your life?
And I guess in the earliest 2000s, there was a few years where I was in a band called Wooderson, and we
Hmm.
we played around a bit. We weren't super aggressive and traveling around much, but we did a little bit here and there. And when that petered out, um, I moved back home to Ontario for, I guess, about 2 years,
Hmm.
and I've just commuted into Toronto, and I worked at a little restaurant, which is great. Made crazy cash at that place. It was wonderful, and kind of started investing again in some music equipment and recording equipment. And not that I was really making that much music. I was still always still writing songs, but
Yeah.
and after being there for a few years, I caught word that the father of my ex-girlfriend from out here, her father passed away.
Oh, okay.
And I was in Toronto house hunting with a buddy of mine when I got that phone call. And as soon as I got off that phone call, I was like, you know what, Zach? And he goes, you're moving back to Nova Scotia, aren't you? And I was like, I think I'm moving back to Nova Scotia. I came out here for the funeral, and Annette and I reconnected. And within a week, I had packed up my stuff from Ontario and returned to the East Coast. And I've been here ever since. I got into real estate. Did
Okay.
that, yeah, I did that for a few years. I did pretty well at that. And then all of a sudden, I got tapped to help open the Carlton,
Hmm.
a music venue. Well, it was a restaurant initially. Now it's known more as a music venue. I was tapped to help be the first like front of house manager, sort of
Okay.
service manager kind of thing. I did that for quite a while, but it was pretty weird. After the place opened, it was only supposed to be a music venue once or twice a month at most for like special events.
Yeah, we just had Mike Campbell on. We talked about that too.
There you
Yeah.
go. There you go.
Yeah, we
Well,
could continue.
yeah, it was weird how just quickly it was obvious people aren't coming in unless there's entertainment. So Mike started booking. That's funny that you just had him on.
Yeah.
Mike started booking more and more shows, and there was this one day that a sound guy bailed at the last minute, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I can't come in." And Mike came over to me and goes, "Do you know any sound guys? We need a sound guy. Ray Bonneville's going to be here in like 2 hours." And I said, "Well, assuming it's not a big production, I used to do sound for my own band."
Oh, there
So
you go.
I did sound for Ray Bonneville when he came in that night. And then over the next little while, my role at the Carlton changed drastically from front of house management to doing all the sound stuff and all kinds of music stuff. Other than booking the bands, I was
Hmm.
responsible for everything else entertainment related. And that was for a long, long time. I still do sound down there all the time.
Yeah,
It's been a great place. It's been good and I'm only there because I love it. I don't want to sound corny, but it's like it's an important venue to the city. There's not a lot
for
of venues
sure.
left,
Yeah.
and artists can go there and play and actually have people listen
Hmm.
intently, and they don't talk during the shows for the most part. And it's yeah, it's a place that people think of as, I don't know, special. I guess I think it's special. I just adore it, and I've been
Oh yeah,
fortunate to be there since the day the place opened, and I don't really have any reason to leave. I can do other things on the side. I can be there as much or as little as I want to be. So that's probably also why it's, convenient for me in that regard.
for
But
sure.
yeah, that's what I've been up to for the past several years.
So, in with what you're doing on the side, especially with the stuff at the Carlton, is there something in that that kind of inspired you to go back into recording another album? Like you said, you've been writing songs here and there, and you have your own equipment and your own skill set. You can kind of come and go from it at different levels. But what really motivated you to say, okay, I'm actually gonna record an album now?
For the past 25 years or so, I've had a core group of friends that we get together once, maybe twice a year. And we just jam, pretend we're teenagers again, and have a really good time doing that. And about 3 years ago, one of the buddies, Kent, phoned me up and said, John, we're going to do it. Let's make a record. I was like, okay. So he threw a few more resources at it so we can get a little bit more equipment, a little better equipment. And um, his company, it's a it's a Farmhouse Productions is a TV production company.
Yep.
And there's a TV show called Brojects that his company owns. And one of the seasons, the company bought a church hall,
Oh
and the
yeah.
TV show's over, but the company still owns the church hall. And we've slowly converted it from this TV studio into a hall where you can go, and it's almost like an Airbnb recording studio space. It's
Cool.
huge. It's got comfortable sleeping for about 12 people, uncomfortable sleeping for about 24 people. But it's got a stage that's all got sound treatments on it, and then it's got a big live open space as a church hall would that has a beautiful natural sounding reverb. So Ken said, let's get everyone together. Let's go there. Let's spend some time and chip away at these songs. And most of them are songs that we've been playing over the years. Some of them are new about, well, I guess the record's pretty short. There was going to be about 14 songs on the record originally. It was taking me a long time. So once we had 8 done, we're like, let's just put it out, go for it. But it was friends that motivated me and said, let's just do it. You're not getting any younger. Let's make a record. So we made a record.
And where is this magical location you're describing?
It's in Great Village.
Okay.
Yeah, just 5 minutes down the road from Masstown Market.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I did hear rumors of this. I didn't know details, but I did hear rumors of this thing happening at one point. And you and I are just meeting now. So it's kind of funny, but
Did you hear that through? And
there might be a connection maybe with like some of these guys here.
oh my God, look at
So,
that.
yeah, so I got to.
What's your connection to those guys?
So DJ's actually from my hometown here in Glasgow, Nova Scotia. So when DJ Timmons was growing up playing drums at a younger age, he actually I went to school with his sister.
Okay.
So that's the short version. And being into music, I would have been aware of our libido anyway. But yeah, I had to have those in my collection, and I noticed DJ's name associated with you. And now that you're telling that story, I had heard rumblings just through acquaintances and
Nice.
people around the community. Just they know I'm into music. They mention little things that they hear about. So I heard rumors about this. I don't know how long ago. It's been a little bit. So it was probably in the early days when it was just a early conversion. But
Yeah.
exciting to hear it come all the way around. And I'm sitting here doing a podcast hearing about it.
Yeah. It's turned into a pretty neat spot. Like Matt Mays has been there to do some recording. Winter Sleep's been in there. Contrived has been in there. Holy Fuck has been in there. Isaac Valentin, who's also from your town. He's a young kid.
Yeah, yeah.
He's been there. Villages, I believe is their name, are heading in soon.
Wow, that's a wicked lineup of artists
It's pretty
even
cool.
there. Yeah.
It's a fantastic place. Like it's clean, but it doesn't look clean. Like it's really rustic.
Uh-huh.
And like it's got a bar, and well, I don't mean like a booze bar. I mean it's got like the furniture bar that you can sit around, and it's got like a big screen, and it's got a nice like it really was a church hall. So it's got like the big double kitchen in the basement, where
Mm-hmm.
where people would have been making sandwiches and stuff and turkey dinners for the church, events and whatnot. So it's really well suited for, groups to come hang out and make music. You
Yeah.
can't really party too hard because there are some neighbors nearby, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
very small community, so you got to kind of respect that. But it's just lovely, and it sounds nice. Like the deadened area that's been sound treated, it sounds like you're in a vocal isolation booth.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're on the floor, it's got this really lovely, breathy, atmospheric sound. It's wicked. It's a great spot.
I would no doubt have some kind of deja vu going in there because I follow all of those acts. So I'm sure from like Instagram reels and photo sessions and stuff, I've seen a lot of that stuff in the background, not realizing it's all the same place.
Definitely.
So it does sound like you just made up something going through my playlist or something. You're like, yeah, there's this place not that far from you. All these cool people hang out. And since we're talking about it and the timing of when this is going to be released, if this is early enough for people that are watching this, Contrived is actually playing in Pictou for December 21st at the DeCoste Performing Arts Center here. So quick little plug for the boys there too.
Right on. Nice
And
plug.
Now back to yourself. So with this album, as I kind of already referenced, DJ's working with you on that album. So yeah, who's all contributing to the full package of the album itself?
DJ and his wife Alana are the rhythm section. She plays bass, and they are, man, they are just the best. They're great musicians, both of them. They just got the right feel and everything. DJ's just a super groovy drummer. He's laid back when it needs to be, and as you know from our libido, he can also he can also rock out when it's called for. And they've been extremely supportive of me, encouraging me and telling me, like, do more, do more, do more. They've been great. Ken Sobey, who's been one of my very best friends for the past since I moved out here. We were frosh together at Dalhousie University.
Okay.
Lived across the hall from each other, and he plays the electric guitar. And that's it. That's the core of the band. There's a few other musicians that have contributed parts. Trevor Wenzel played a flute on it. He played his part about 20 years ago, I might add.
Oh, really? That's amazing.
Yeah, it's from a different version of recording that same song. I
Mhm.
just sort of pulled a few of the tracks from that to put on this, as well as Jesse and Seth Fraser. They both make little appear. You might know those boys too. They were Jesse was the bass player from our libido,
Okay, yeah.
and his brother Seth plays electric guitar. That's just on one song called "State of the Art" that's on the record. But it's DJ, Alana, Kent, and I. We are the core of the whole thing.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's fun. We enjoy each other's company too, which is nice. Now that we used to go to a farmhouse in Chance Harbor
Okay.
for forever, and then once this church hall was bought for the TV show, we sort of migrated the whole thing to the church hall. But I forget what my point is. Why I brought up Chance Harbor. I don't know. Anyways, we've been going down there literally since 1996, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's nice to see a kind of core group of people. And one thing that's kind of exciting on my end, having done a number of these interviews, is I do a wide range of not just genres, but there's a wide age range in there as well. So a lot of the younger performers that are up and coming that we'd be playing more indie rock music, they definitely are heavily influenced by the 90s
Mm-hmm.
era, the vibe of the 90s, and echoes of the Halifax scene in the 90s as well. So it is cool to see bands that are out there. Like Contrive's another one like yourself that like they have not been around. Like, I mean, Winter Sleep has been, but like Contrived as a band had not been a thing for a couple
Long
decades.
time.
And
Yeah.
now there's all these people back out there and reforming these small little kind of communities within the music industry. And instead of
Yeah.
feeling clicky, it really reminds me of before the internet. Right? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a heavy internet user, obviously. That's where I'm getting all of this from. But it does remind me of how there was little communities within the music industry back then. Like if you go
Yeah.
to a small community, there's a core group of people that are supporting independent music in general and
Mm-hmm.
helping each other out. And it seems like that energy and vibe has been rebirthed in our whole scene here. And it's kind of brought people like yourself back kind of to the forefront again. Like, hey, I remember how to do this. And you're falling right back in there and creating new vibes and opportunities for people that are going to come right
Mm-hmm.
up behind you.
That's a good point. Community is pretty important. It kind of does feel a lot like you're doing this in a vacuum all the time when it is so internet based. If you try to upload something and post it, especially if you're not terribly into social media, which I'm very much not into social media. I wish I was. I wish I could embrace it more and understand it more and leverage it more. But you just sort of feel like you're putting something out there and then it's done. Whereas you're right, like there definitely used to be more of a, well, maybe there is now too coming back, but that whole sense of community. I just heard Rose Cousins talking about that. She was talking about
Okay.
how grateful she was that when she was excuse me, starting out, she was doing this open mic down at the Khyber for a long time, and that grew a community and a pile of people that we know their names to this day as musicians are were a part of that community.
Hmm.
And there hasn't ever, and that's before the internet, and that's before the internet was a big deal, I should say, before social media, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
And since then, there it doesn't really feel so much that there's that sense of community. And nowadays, it kind of does feel like there's a little bit more, you know, action or
Yeah.
old people.
Yeah, it's an interesting time. I think there's maybe a little transition that maybe we're looking at. I mean, hopefully maybe like I'm super into this side myself, but I'd like to back off a little and still have some of that old vibe too. So I think
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
happy medium somewhere, and maybe just our society's getting ready to shift there and meet somewhere in the middle.
yeah.
But it is exciting to see. And with your full album, you also took the opportunity to go on the other favorite artistic endeavor of mine is a music video to go along with it.
Yep.
So you went very ambitious on that as well. So at first when I was looking, like I said, your name was familiar, and no surprise based on all the key points in your history there. I'm sure that if we haven't actually been in the same room and run into each other over the last couple decades, I'm sure I definitely seen your name in different reviews and articles or people referencing you as you've worked with them as well. So going full tilt, what is this video? Where did you get the idea? And the big swing, was that something that you always wanted to do?
No, it wasn't my idea. It was so that TV show company, the big TV show they had was called Brojects.
Yeah.
And the bros and Kent, who owns the company, and I and my wife and all kinds of people, like they made the TV show together, but they're actually born and raised together as friends.
Okay.
And I've been friends with these guys all like Andrew, the bro. He went to Dalhousie with us as well, so I've known him since '95. I think was my first year there, '95. So we've been friends forever. But then this TV show thing happened, and then that's been done for a few years, but all this infrastructure and relationships and networks and connections to all these camera operators and this kind of stuff still exist. So all that's to say that about a few months ago, Andrew just out of the blue emailed Kent and I and said, I got an idea for the music video. And he sent us a link to some chin puppet test videos that he had made. He made like almost like a pitch for a TV show,
Yeah.
and it was so ridiculous. It was hilarious, ridiculous. It was cheap. Like he just did it all himself with an iPhone. So it must have taken him forever. But he had a few really neat shots. Like there was a scene where there was a chin puppet flying like a 1950s military plane and having like a shootout. And I was like,
Yeah.
holy crap, how the hell did you do that? And then to sort of imagine how he must have done it. Anyways, he wrote and he's like, I got an idea for the Grinchy Me Christmas song. Let's make a chin puppet music video. What? Anyways, we're like, yep, let's do it. And then he lives in Victoria now, but he flew out here with two giant suitcases full of chin puppets and chin wigs and miniature props. And I'm sure that the security screening probably thought he was a bit of a creep.
Yeah.
But anyways, he showed up at the church hall in Great Village, and he built this like he built a set, basically a living room set that was upside down, up on 2x4s, and the ceiling of the set was sheet metal covered with like a vinyl rollout floor material. So basically, the ceiling up there looked like a floor, but it was sheet metal.
Okay.
And these puppets, like the feet of the puppets and all of the props are attached with magnets. So when the humans aren't there, you basically just see this upside down, like a grand piano, like a little grand piano stuck up there with magnets and a couch and a chair and a fridge or whatever it was. And the puppets are just dangling headless upside down. And so you can, move the feet around, put the puppets wherever you want them. And then as the humans, we literally like walk up and sort of walk from behind the puppets and pull the shirts over our heads to here. And then we're basically in these characters now. And then excuse me, the hands and stuff are connected with fishing line that goes like from the puppet's hands up to the ceiling to pulleys and then down, and we hold the strings like this. So if I do this, the puppet's hand does the exact same motion.
Yeah.
You know, if they're playing guitar, it looks like the puppet's playing guitar. And Andrew got pretty clever. He actually had it too, so that particular on Alana's bass guitar puppet, if she leaned like this, the hand on the fret would go up or down the fretboard.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, like I mean, you know, given more time, you could get some pretty precise movement with these puppets. It was so fun. And we had an amazing Ian Carlton, the cinematographer, who's this just tremendous and creative camera fella. He's a genius with lighting, and he probably had one of the hardest jobs because he had to look through a camera and imagine everything that he was looking at upside down.
Oh yeah, it hurts my head a little to think about it.
It's so wild. It's so wild. But anyways, we did it all over the course of a couple of days of shooting, and I mean, it turned out pretty great. It's silly, it's wacky, but it's also somehow kind of like emotional and believable almost.
Hmm.
I don't mean believable like you believe these chins are real, but like it's I don't know, it's just sincere maybe. I don't know, it
Yeah.
seems sincere to me. I don't know. I think everyone did an amazing job. It was so fun. It was so fun. The outtakes are the best parts actually. There's a
Well,
few
that's what was going to be my follow-up too. Like, how'd you do it with a straight face? But you do have outtakes, so I can imagine.
there's definitely some outtakes.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So people can watch the video out there now. It's on
Yeah.
YouTube
Yeah.
for Grinchy Me once again. Is there outtakes available somewhere, or is that something that might
Yeah,
be
I
out
know
there?
there's at least 4 or 5 like little packaged outtake things that the editor
Cool.
put out there. I think they're mostly on social media. I
Yeah.
think if you go to Brojects' social media, I know they've got a bunch of them out there.
Perfect.
Sort of linking back to back to YouTube.
Hmm.
Um, but and I haven't. I'm going to post them too. I'm just sort of waiting for the initial buzz to sort of dissipate a little bit, and then I'll put something else out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I guess got to get it all out before Christmas. Kind of silly to put out Christmas material after Christmas. We're a little bit late to the Christmas like setting it up kind of thing and trying to get attention. Like I gather it's like in the fall is probably when you're supposed to be teeing up all your plans for a
It
Christmas release.
does. It
But
does seem to be hard to nail that because it's like you release it and then the season's over. But at
yeah,
least it's something that you can revisit annually, and people aren't going to get sick of it because even if they like it, it's going to dissipate for a little bit, and then they bring it back next year. So
that's right. The
it'll
gift that
be
keeps on giving.
exactly new family tradition. Everyone can sit
Yeah,
around and watch the video together.
yeah. Just ask Mariah Carey how she feels about Christmas music.
Yeah, exactly. So the full album itself is also available out there for everyone, like on
Yeah,
Spotify and iTunes and
yeah,
whatever music platform they wish to listen to it on.
yeah. It's on.
Um, Coming up, I know we're close to the holidays, but maybe into the new year, is there opportunities for people to go out and see you perform from the new album?
Yeah, I will have to post something about that soon. Right now, the only two things I have going forward planned are house concerts, and they're both full anyway.
Sure.
Um, but I think I just, excuse me, I just had a conversation. This is kind of exciting news, and it's not really news yet, but I just had a chat with a possible booking agent that might help me get some gigs. I don't know if that's going to pan out, but that might be a nice thing. I'm pretty shy. Like I'm starting to wring my hands even just talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty shy when it comes to asking for gigs and trying to
Yeah.
get people to look at me and pay attention to me. I get really awkward about that. And I'm starting to sweat. I'm not even kidding, just talking about it. It gets so awkward. I'm not for music. I wish I was more of a musician with confidence about marketing myself. I'm a confident person, but I can barely talk when I'm trying to sell myself. Anyways, yeah, I might have somebody else starting to do some of that for me, which would be amazing.
But yeah, that's always helpful.
Oh my God, yeah. I know it's tougher for like I don't have a big, huge built-in live audience because I
Hmm.
haven't Jon Cornwall shows much at all over the last several years, like a couple times a year.
Hmm.
So for a booking agent to take me on means that they're gonna have to not have a big, I'm not gonna
Sure.
generate income for if they're taking a cut. It's not gonna be a big cut for a little while, but
Yeah.
I have somebody who's at least gonna have a chat with me about it, and she's a pretty big deal, so that might be amazing.
That's great.
Yeah, if that happens, I'll post about it, I guess.
So speaking of that, aside from obviously in the future, if you have anything you want us to share with our audience, just drop us a line. But where should people that are new to you now follow you online to keep up to date with what's happening?
The quickest way to get to any of the links and all that stuff for all the different socials is just because of this video, I had to get a website. So there's just johncornwall.com
Yeah,
with no H, just Jon, johncornwall.com. And it's a very small webpage, but near the bottom, there's all the links to,
perfect.
updated information. Yeah.
And we'll put a link to that in the description for this episode as well. And anyone that hasn't already followed and subscribed to East Coast DNA would appreciate that as well. Been very random this year with releases, so I might take a couple weeks off at some point here to kind of schedule 2025 a little different. But I do appreciate, Jon, you reaching out and us getting an episode in here for December. So
I'm so grateful. Thanks for your time.
yeah, and nice to see the Christmas tree in the background to kind of go along with the motif of a holiday single.
You know what? I got all the lights on it. They were perfect. And then all the lights died. So the very first set must be dead.
Oh no, yeah,
Oh.
yeah. That's right. Another holiday tradition.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Last year, four new sets of lights that I bought last year for garlands. My wife likes to put garlands out front.
Yeah.
All four of them are dead. It's like they sell them to you with like, and there's like some internal mechanism that explodes over the winter, over the summer, or something like that. They're not, and the ones that still work are like 15, 20-year-old string lights.
Yeah. Yeah,
The new
I
ones
find that too.
they don't make them like they used to.
Exactly. That's not a sign of our ages at all that we're starting to talk like that. No. So before we leave, is there a song from the album you want to play off? I mean, I guess the obvious would be Grinchy Me, but dealer's choice.
Geez. Well, yeah, I guess I'd be a fool not to say Grinchy Me. If you can play that one, that'd be
Fair
amazing.
enough. All right, so we'll play off with that, and going into the new year, definitely keep in touch. We have a busy schedule that I'm trying to put some sense to, so definitely I'm going to be out on the road, so maybe I'll run into you along the ways too.
That'd be great.
Great. All right, we'll talk soon, and everyone else stick around and listen to Grinchy Me, and throw the video on there later too. Add that to your holiday playlist.
That's right, please.
All right. Thanks again.
Thanks for your time.
Bye.
It's late November, it's early December, and I feel like shit. I remember Christmases with gifts up to my knees. This year I'm just not feeling it. And I don't care as long as I'm with you. Then Christmas is what I wanna do. Please take me home to where I come from, 'cause I wanna see my dad and I kinda just wanna sit around with my mom. And Christmas is as long as I'm with you. Good 24 hours, you're all that I wanna do. It's mid-December, it's late December. The kids and the snow and the drinks and the toys. I remember Christmases singing out at the top of my lungs. This year it all just feels like noise. And I don't care as long as I'm with you. Then Christmas is what I'm gonna do. Please take me home to where I come from, 'cause I wanna see my dad and I kinda just wanna sit around with my mom. And Christmas is as long as I'm with you. 24 hours, you're all that I wanna do. all these years after, just quiet my laughter, and I wanna be feeling okay. But grumpy, grinchy me wants to burn down your Christmas tree and wrap up this whole year and steal it away. I don't care, as long as I'm with you, then Christmas is what I wanna do. Please take me home to where I come from, 'cause I wanna see my dad and I kinda just wanna sit around with my mom. Christmas is as long as I am with